Namaskar and welcome to Startup Champions. This is the stage that brings together the best startup talents of the country. I'm Shubhendu Ghosh. Let's talk about the education sector. Well, India has a huge demographic advantage. The youth power is significant in the country, but with advantage also comes responsibility. The manner in which we're able to educate and skill our youngsters, our youth, will determine the direction that India will take in the coming years. Now, the new national education policy has created a framework for integrated learning, greater focus on technology and innovation. Well, with this pandemic, we've also learned the significance, the potential of online learning. And now we turn to our startups for their ideas, for their innovations, for their enterprises that can truly transform the education sector. Let me introduce you to the startups who are joining us today. First, we have with us Robot Guru Education from Mysuru. Harshvardhan, founder, is joining us. Warm welcome to you, Harshvardhan.
Thank you for having us here.
And our second startup, Kickhead Software from Delhi. Prajwal, co-founder, is joining us from the startup. Warm welcome to you, Prajwal.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And like always, we have a fantastic set of audience members with us. So warm welcome to all of you. They're young students, researchers, and also entrepreneurs themselves. It would be fantastic to look forward to you engaging with the startups on that side of the stage. Let's now talk about our mentor. Now, the mentor for this program is as important as mentors are in the startup ecosystem in the journey of any startup. Very excited to have with us Mr. Satya Narayanan, founder, career launcher. Mr. Narayanan, warm welcome to you. As we know, you're the founder of the super successful education venture, Career Launcher. And today it is, in fact, one of Asia's foremost education-related corporate. Mr. Narayanan, you're also a very, very recognizable figure in the academic circles. You're a renowned speaker as well. And you are the guiding force behind several education-related ventures which are known for their transformative potential in the whole of Asian education market. Warm welcome to you into the program. Let's look at the manner in which the education sector in the country is evolving. We'll take a look at the manner in which the National Education Policy 2020 has widened the scope of learning in the country. We'll also look at the ways in which education sector has become an exciting place for startups to be in. A special report.
Modernizing the education sector of India is key to tackling the challenges of the 21st century. Improving all aspects of the education system is needed to empower the youth. Education that opens the minds of the students to the opportunities around. Education that can create job creators instead of job seekers. With the new education policy at place and greater than ever emphasis on skill development, startups have a crucial role to play in the sector. Government has proposed big reforms across primary education, higher education and technical education in the new policy.
नए भारत के निर्माण में, समृद्ध और खुशहाल भारत के निर्माण में देश की शिक्षा का बहुत बड़ा महत्व है। इसी सोच के साथ देश को 3 दशक के बाद नई राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति देने में हम आज यशस्वी हुए हैं।
The new education policy that has been introduced after 34 years aims to improve the overall quality of education. It seeks to ensure high education opportunities for all students. Introducing artificial intelligence, 3D machine, data analysis, biotechnology in undergraduate studies will help create more skilled youth. It will also boost their employability. According to a report, a rupee invested in primary education results 10 times more value in higher education. The new education policy takes integrated approach to arts, science, vocational courses and other streams. Vocational education will be introduced early from class 6th with provision for internships. Students' progress can be evaluated by a national assessment center called Parak. Artificial intelligence software will be put to use in learning and training exercises. Clearly, it opens new doors of opportunities for the startups. Whether it is making online education simpler or introducing a disruptive technology, edutech startups are exploring possibilities offered by the sector. $200 billion market awaits the new edutech companies. There are over 4,450 edutech startups in the country. Amidst the pandemic, 2020 was an important year for the rise of edutech companies. Between Jan and September 2020, 76 deals were made with an investment of $1.4 billion. According to the economic survey, people in India want to spend more time on education as compared to health. In the past decade, edutech companies have transformed rapidly. In the beginning of 2021, Prime Minister Modi announced a seed fund worth 1,000 crores for startups. Government also announced easy availability of debt capital for startups. It means Startups India mission is ready to give wings to aspirations of young entrepreneurs of the nation. Using technology, taking education to every individual is the biggest challenge facing the sector. All eyes on how startups will revolutionize education in 21st century India.
So that's how the education sector becomes an exciting place for the startups. If you can turn to our mentor and get some initial thoughts. Mr. Satyanarayanan, if we can have you on the mentored wall. Right. So, sir, the demographic advantage that India has makes the education sector particularly dynamic. How do you think startups today are poised to take this transformation forward?
I think the opportunity is exceptional. Never have we seen this in the last 300 years, Shubhendu. And one of the fundamental principles around which this opportunity is getting leveraged or will be built is that today, if you build an edtech or for that matter, any solution, you build for India, that amounts to building for the world. It wasn't the case about a decade or 2 decades ago. And so when I look at the work being done by whether it is Harsh or Prajwal, and when they're building something for India, what's really happening is that the price performance equation that an Indian customer demands is it straddles highest performance standards because he's used to an Amazon and a Netflix kind of quality, and he wants the price of an Indian customer, which is about 1/5 or 1/10. So this is one important aspect. The second aspect is, like you rightly said in the beginning, based on NEP, based on our the message that we heard even from the Prime Minister, the converting a youngster from a job seeker to a job creator. This is the other very important dimension that you are touching upon when we are advocating or supporting and encouraging young entrepreneurs like we have today on our program.
Let's now begin with our first startup, Robot Guru Education. Now, this startup has revolutionized the manner in which we teach and learn. From robots that can teach to your curriculum converted into augmented reality for better understanding and better engagement. No wonder students, when they use their tools, are able to adapt, engage, and understand their subjects in a much, much better manner. Let's look at their wonderful journey.
Welcome to Startup Champions.
Robots. The word itself creates a fascinating image in your mind and takes you back to the world of sci-fi movies. Generally, robotech is synonymous with tech-driven developed countries like the USA or Japan. But what if we tell you that a startup here in India is making 100% made in India robots? And these robots can not only walk and talk, dance and move, but do more than that, help you study.
Imagine your favorite mentor or your favorite teacher from the world teaching this robot and then this robot teaching you in the class. When the whole world is talking about digital learning, this startup Robot Guru is talking about digital teaching.
In the beautiful city of palaces, Mysuru brews a high-tech global startup, Robot Guru, that is breaking silos and creating a never-seen before, never experienced before way of teaching and learning. Leaving his job in the Silicon Valley, USA, founder Harshvardhan Kikeri came back to India to his hometown Mysuru in the hope of exploring his luck in startups, and that too, a robo AI IT enabled virtual reality, immersive reality, high-tech startup which will make teaching interactive and learning exponentially fun, and that too with a robot in Guru Avatar.
Robot initially it was a student and now it has become a guru. So it has graduated. So that's why the name Robot Guru came in. It's almost like a teaching assistant. Supplement the real guru. Allows the teacher to digitally bring in various tools.
Co-founder and wife Shweta Kikari recalls the move to take the leap of faith for a startup as a step that was motivated by passion for robotics and the vision of a new India.
He wanted, to bring robotics to India, because as we were in America, he had always felt that, the latest technology is always available in America. But by the time it comes to India, it is usually a few years late. So that's when we decided that we have to come back to India and start something here. Our 10-year-old kid, our son, he's already an intern of our company. So he likes to learn the tools and the other things that they are using in the company now. So yeah, it is like, techie family itself, you can say.
What I would say is it is actually much riskier not to start a startup. Once we created this startup, we had 11 patents all around the world, completely made in India product which is now exported to 19 countries.
Logging into just a website opens before the user a whole world of subjects, concepts and much more. The company has also brought in technologies like the Holo suit, which is a motion capture suit and can also control the robot.
So this is the kind of motion which I wanted to capture. So there I saw that, okay, HoloSuite and Robot Guru is the right platform where I can build this kind of solution.
Holo Education will allow students to explore, interact, experience and be involved in something as if they are actually present in that environment. The grasping of the various concepts is made simpler using the computer, augmented reality and virtual reality integrated with HoloSuite. With such high-end cutting-edge products, the startup has hired young minds at job and aims at promoting the trend of reverse talent migration.
That is where the local community came together. They only invested in this idea and they gave not just money, they gave their sons and they gave their daughters to work in this company and take this to the whole new level.
The company has tied up with various universities and is helping teachers amplify their teachings. Opening up a new avenue to help practical education and enable learn by experience, Robot Guru is revolutionizing the conventional methods of teaching and learning with the digital teaching tools.
Yeah, that's a brilliant world of Robot Guru education. And Harsha, founder, is with us. Harsha, great to have you. Now, for a moment, it seemed we were watching a science fiction documentary, with all those robots. A lot of what you do is virtual, augmented reality. How did your engagement, interest in this particular field start, and how did you connect it with education?
Yes, so if you look at it, I was working at Microsoft Robotics, and while building those robots, I was building humanoid type of robots. I was giving them arms, I was giving them legs, I was giving them eyes. So then I started thinking, okay, why not give them brains? And then I started thinking, okay, what happens? Does the robot also dream, right? So what would a robot dream like? And that's where augmented reality, virtual reality is nothing but a shared dream between robots and humans.
That's amazing. Are we talking about artificial intelligence where the robots can sense like human beings?
Absolutely. In fact, this is the next level of artificial intelligence. Right now, artificial intelligence is at the level of plants. You can only passively observe things.
Okay.
But if you look at Cambrian explosion, what happens? When you become when you get eyes and when you get legs, you can move around and interact and learn from the environment. Right? So that is the kind of advanced artificial general robotic intelligence we are talking about. It is almost embodied AI. It is not just the normal AI, but this is the next level of spatial embodied AI which we are talking about, which can come to you in the form of a robot and teach you like a guru.
There's a lovely robot that we saw. It's called Hanuman.
Yes,
Harsh,
yes.
So what all can it do, Harsh, if you can tell us?
Yes, so that is actually a robot by SoftBank that we skilled using our HoloSuite technologies to teach various aspects. For example, that robot paired with a projector can actually teach you how you can actually go inside a tractor, and I think you saw some images as to how do you actually drive the tractor, or how do you make some karate moves, how do you actually play cricket strokes. In fact, the idea here is that the robot can learn from the teacher, and it can basically teach you anything because it has ability to speak, it has ability to see you, recognize you, come close to you, just like a real teacher would do. In fact, the real teacher and this robot teacher would be counterparts, almost like Ram and Hanuman, right? That is why we came with the name of Hanuman bot. He's like an assistant to the real teacher.
Fantastic idea. Can we have an applause on that particular front? Harsha, but you know, just to understand it simply, a teacher takes so long in education, exams, training to become a teacher. How is a robot able to transform into a teacher in no time? How does that happen?
So, you know, in our Hindu philosophy, there is a very nice concept of avatar, right? So, gods take these various avatars. So, our actually our god, like our house god is Narasimha, Lakshmi Narasimha, right? So, if you look at it, it is Nara and Simha, right? So, now the way you look at this robot is not as a robot itself, but it is an avatar of the Guru.
Okay.
Nara Yantra Manava avatar. So, you can think of it as the Guru is teaching this robot. So, whatever this Guru has taken for 30 years, 40 years, 80 years, that can actually be instantly transferred to this robot because the Guru itself is teaching and coming in the form of the robot.
So, the teachings of the best teacher can be used through this robot, through Hanuman, and be taken to remote corners of the country where which may not have access to good teachers.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. On that note, if we can connect to our mentor, Satyanarayan, the manner in which technology can be a game changer, the manner in which we need quality teaching staff, manpower in education. In that context, how do you see the journey of Robot Guru education?
I think it could be exceptionally exciting. Needless to say, the marrying of the invention and the creative genius that we see in the team here has to be married with the on-the-ground implementation 0 to 1, as Peter Thiel talks about, and then 1 to 100 to scale it up. But that's the excitement of the journey that I see for the team. And you know, the rarest species to find in this world is a great teacher. And if there's any technology that can absorb the creative teaching genius of a good teacher, and then we can replicate that, it's a great service to the society, it's a great service to education. I personally think it's very exciting, and at the same time I would also think it's a very, very challenging lifelong journey that the team is looking towards.
Right. Thank you for that input. Also, next, if we can take a look at the manner in which your robots have become celebrity, Harsha. We got hold of some pictures and some clips of the manner in which your robots are interacting with who's who, the world of politics and elsewhere. Let's take a look at that special clip about where all has a robot gone and met. Let me also throw the podium open for audience members. Really engaging technology questions that you would have for Harsha.
Hi, I'm Aditya. I have got a degree in psychology. I'm from the edutech background and I support students with their emotional counseling and career counseling. So I have a question for Harsha. Harsha, we have heard how people are misusing self-driven cars. They are putting it on autopilot and going off to sleep. How people are getting addicted. So my question to you is, how would we ensure that the emotional connect is there and also sensitivity is there? I know it's a very early question to ask, but I would request for your thoughts. Thank you.
That's a great question. In fact, if I can just add to that, do your robot teachers also scold and punish like usual teachers do? Tell us about that.
So that's a very interesting question. So the way to look at these things is the robot is an extension of the consciousness. So whatever is the teacher kind of wants to do, that just like whatever is like the intent of the teacher, the like if you have a class monitor, right? If the class monitor is told to go and hit, he will hit. If the class monitor is told to kind of like praise the student, he will praise. So this robot and these technologies are things which are extending the consciousness of the teacher. And it is not just the robot, there is also augmented reality, and because now we are actually able to capture this interaction between the teacher and the student through this intermediate platform, it actually allows us now an eye into this interaction, because previously these things could have even happened, but we would not know about it. Now technology opens up and allows us to understand, peak, and also maybe recommend best practices, right? So have an AI which basically, if the teacher is scolding, maybe it censors out those things and then like passes it across, right? If the teacher says hit, maybe he'll kind of go and just pat, right? So a lot of the things, because now it is actually there is an intermediate layer which is there between the teacher and the student who can help them significantly enhance. So ultimately the way I look at things is, it is the humans who have to take responsibility, not the robots. The technology can only help, but it's up to us to use it judiciously.
Right, and students should find ways to become more friendly with the robot to escape scolding. Another question, if you can take here.
I'm Siddhant Varshne. I'm a chemical engineer from IIT Delhi. I'm a PhD student. So I have one question. Although I'm not from the field, but this thing you have talked about visualization, which it converts the data that it collects and converts it into the spatial coordinates, right? But what about interpretation? What if some student asks a question to the robot? Will it be able to interpret it, and will it be able to, like, what kind of AI technique will it use to actually interpret it?
Absolutely, that is a great question. So in fact, we have developed some of the most sophisticated AI techniques here, which actually looks at, let us say the student is asking a robot a question, right? Of course, it has all the basic skills of speech recognition and being able to understand, have a semantic understanding of the context. But let us say even with all this understanding and an AI kind of thing, it is not able to answer the question. It does not know what the answer is. Then what happens? The robot guru now becomes a robot student. It will go and ask its teacher, oh, this time this question came in, I did not know how to. For example, let us say the student will ask, how should I hold a bat? Or like this particular circuit, how should I connect? If the robot knows, it will actually tell them. If the robot doesn't know, it will now ask the teacher, this is the question. And now the teacher, once he teaches, then it will remember forever, because it's a perfect student. So next time any 100 students will ask the same question, it will be able to teach them without actually disturbing the teacher. So now you see, that is where like a lot of the students will benefit, because not all of them will get a chance to go and talk to the teacher, right? Teacher's time is very valuable. So the robot's kind of purpose is to just reduce this traffic, right? It's like caching the information between the student and the teacher in such a way that not just that one, if there are 100 such robots around in all the villages, even all those robots instantly get this, because it is not just one student, it has many multiple avatars. So it can actually simultaneously transmit this knowledge, and every one of those robots will be able to.
That's amazing. Harsha, and robots are not the only things that you've made. You've also created augmented reality using holographic technology, if I'm right. If you can tell us about it, then we have something special for our audiences.
Yes. So what we have created here is called, so you might have heard about normal augmented reality, virtual reality, where you have to wear something and you have to kind of spend a lot of time in this virtual world. But the problem is, like, we could not really, those are useful for practical education. Let's say you wanted to learn something individually, or even if you have a mobile phone, these are digital learning tools, right? But what we wanted to do was, we wanted to help the teachers by creating digital teaching tools. So what we created was a holographic projector which actually observes the teacher and allows the teacher to interact in 3D. Just like a mobile phone tracks your finger and allows you to interact in 2D, what we are doing is we are actually tracking the entire teacher, virtualizing them, and allowing them to control all of these whatever they are teaching. For example, let's say the teacher wants to teach about solar system.
Great.
They can actually zoom in, look at Mars, and then start rotating
and
the
let's quickly
Mars.
take a look at how that works. Special clip we've managed to get of your brand ambassador Yuvraj Singh, and who demonstrates the manner in which this fascinating holographic technology works. Let's take a look.
Because of COVID, the young children have not been able to come to cricket academies and practice, and they have been finding ways and means to practice in the house or in the backyard. So I think when we discuss about Holosuit, it gives an opportunity. It's a great innovation where it gives an opportunity where your body movements are captured by the haptic sensor, as we discussed, and you'll be able to show and present the young children about the body mechanics of sport. So I think Holosuit technology will really help in education, in sports. When you see a coach in augmented or a virtual reality, you're instantly able to rectify your mistakes. If you are going just playing in the nets or you're playing any other sport and you don't know what mistakes you're doing, you always have to look for coaches to sort out your game. But here, the moment you give in your feedback on the application and you show your own videos, it will be very easy holographically to rectify those mistakes.
Well, that's ace cricketer Yuvraj Singh for you. It seemed like an ordinary conversation between Yuvraj and Harsh. What if I were to tell you that Yuvraj Singh was actually not present in that conversation? It was a holographic image. It looked absolutely real, Harsha. Fantastic work. So tell us about that, the transformative potential of such holographic video images of teachers, for that matter.
Sure. So this is one area where this has a tremendous potential to, especially in the COVID situation where the best of the teachers are not able to travel anywhere. They can sit in their home and we capture all their body movements through our Holosuit. And Holosuit is just, I was wearing the Holosuit, believe it or not. That was the Holosuit. It's just like your normal jacket.
Were
and
you
pant.
also virtual
Yes,
in that clip?
I was also virtual. I was wearing the Holosuit
fantastic.
in virtual.
I think we should have a round of applause for this amazing technology and making it real. Yes, Harsha.
So using this technology now, the person can come in, and especially we are putting it now on mobile robots. So you can, in fact, instead of me coming here, I could come there here virtually and I could move around and talk to every one of you and your guests, for example.
Are you saying that
yes.
teachers, students, everyone could come into the classroom virtually at a time like a pandemic when we couldn't go to physical classes? That's possible?
Absolutely. In fact, what we are creating, Android is an operating system on mobile phones, right, which allows you to do digital learning. What we are creating is an operating world that is in 3D, which you can go into anytime, access using your computer, using your mobile phone, or using the robot.
Amazing. Harsha, let's get a perspective on that from our mentor also. Mr. Satyanarayanan, if we can connect with you on the mentor wall. Now, I want to ask this question in the context of the new national education policy. There's a lot of scope and provision for use of innovation and technology, and here we saw this fantastic demonstration of augmented reality. How do you think that could transform the manner teaching and learning happens in the country?
I would repeat the same, Shubhendu. I think it can be very transformational. There would be early adopters, there would be laggards, but considering the current situation and hugely spiked by COVID, all the the tendencies and the behaviors are towards embracing newer things because the business as usual has been disrupted massively. So it's a great time, great opportunity, and what is very important for an innovative startup like this is to make sure that they are not overstretching themselves. And Harsh has a great challenge of innovating and getting early adapters so that the virtuous cycle gets built. Yeah, I think there are many mainstream institutions, higher education institutions, test prep companies, sports coaches. It would be very interesting to catch some early adopters who then migrate themselves into this, start using it so that you can start generating the positive word of mouth. Again, I would close by saying I'm very excited. At the same time, if I were Harsh, I will also be very careful and slightly nervous that we don't get carried away. Back to you.
Right. Their mentor Satyanarayanan continues to be with us. Harsha, one final point I wanted to ask you about. We saw the fantastic innovations, but what is your business model? How does that work into a profitable venture? Who are your customers? If in brief you could tell us about it.
Sure. So we have customers in 19 countries around the world. So
19?
in fact, yes, 19 countries. So for example, SoftBank is our customer, Fiat, Ford. In fact, we have kind of shipped like these made in India technology to Israel and Japan. And the idea here is anybody who wants to train any worker. For example, Fiat and Ford, they are using it to train their factory workers. Like you saw Yuvraj Singh training his cricketers. We have many universities, right from first standard, believe it or not, right from first standard to PhD students, they have all come across, and we have many World Bank funded projects which we are executing in various kind of like universities. For example, there is a Tamil Nadu University, Agricultural University, where you saw how the tractors were being shown. Similarly, in Tamil Nadu Veterinary University, Tanuvas, they are using this to kind of teach cattle anatomy to the students using this technology. So in fact, we really encourage all the educational institutes to come and really work closely with us, because this can significantly help you adopt digital teaching tools. So our customers are not directly the students. What we are targeting are the mentors, the teachers, the schools, the colleges, the coaching institutes who really need better tools.
And that brings us to the second startup of the day. We're talking about brilliant startups in the education sector. We're talking about Kickhead Softwares. Now, what Kickhead does is it makes learning management systems. It also makes online test platforms. Around 1 million students are connected to them. So if you're a youngster looking for a question paper, a mock paper to prepare for an examination, if you're looking for a scholarship to take your education journey forward, or if you're someone who's looking for a job in private or government sector, Kickhead Software could in fact map your skills, your requirements, and connect it with the opportunities that are available. Let's look at the special journey of Kickhead Software.
Breaking out of their comfort zones and striving to make an impact, a group of more than 10 Kickheaders started Kickhead Softwares in 2014, a company that helps the student community across India.
It all started back in 2014 with a small Facebook group. There were a lot of students who needed career guidance, who did not know how to prepare for jobs, whether it was government or private. So I created a small group and people started joining in. Soon it grew to about 60,000 members, and I knew that there's a lot of requirement, there's a lot of gap between the industry and the students. And that is when we came up with our products.
Spread out in Noida and Bangalore, the company assists students aspiring for government as well as private jobs. With the founders having worked at companies like TCS, McAfee and Intel Security, they decided to merge content with technology and provide free of cost mock tests to students.
This process involves two very important factors. First is the notification. The official notification that is released by the various exam conducting bodies gives an idea to the team about the latest pattern and the difficulty level of the exam for which they have to prepare the mock test. Second is the constant feedback that the team gets of the students through the various social media platforms, also through emails and calls that the students keep on connecting with us.
Their platforms govjobadda.org, Amigos and placementyogi.com act as catalysts for those who dream of earning a well-paid job. They also have a YouTube channel.
We have impacted over 6 lakh students through our work. Every day more than 500 students sign up on our platform and more than 100 tests are attempted.
With more than 1 million students attached with Kickhead Softwares across all their portals, it is only fitting to say that young India is embracing the amalgamation of education and technology and striving towards making India into Atmanirbhar Bharat.
That is journey of Kickhead Software for you, ladies and gentlemen. And Prajwal, co-founder, continues to be with us. Warm welcome again, Prajwal.
Thank you.
It's quite brilliant how you put together all the significant content that a youngster requires, whether it's a mock paper, a scholarship information, or even a job opening onto one platform. You know, usually when one is looking for such information, one would just go online and search for that particular need. But you put it all together. What is it that you do differently as compared to a simple online search?
See, most of the times when you search anything on Google or any other platform, the thing is you get a lot of information.
Yes.
And sometimes what happens is when you get a lot of information, it is very difficult to figure out which is genuine, which is not.
Right.
That is where we've come into the place where, you know, when students are looking, trying to, let's say, search for scholarships. So if they go and search on Google, they'll get a lot of scholarships available and they would not know, which one to apply. Also, as a student, it's not possible for you to go and search every day for scholarships or any other stuff that you are in need of. What should happen ideally is that if there's a scholarship out in the market and the scholarship could actually find the people who should be eligible for that, right? And then it tells you that, okay, you are eligible for this scholarship, and if you apply through this, then your chances are very high of getting selected. So this is what we try to do. We try to map what is available in the market and put it across to the students in a very simple and easy way, so that they don't have to search and go to different places and figure out the information that they need.
What is great that I learned about your portal, your software, Prajwal, is that it's free for students.
Yes.
Mostly. So help us understand, how do you make revenue? What is your business model of Kickhead Software?
So we, as you said, we are an LMS company. So we do have businesses who use our softwares. When we created this portal, it was a product that we had, and big organizations like Vajiram and Ravi, which is the largest UPSC coaching center in India, or Kiran Prakashan, again the largest publisher of books for government exams, they are our customers. They use our portals as well, and they are the ones who.
Can you give an example of in what manner do they use your portal?
We have our online test platform which people use. We have an LMS where you can manage your students as well. That is how we are doing it. But that's the public deployment. That's the B2C deployment of our product. The same software could be used in B2B as well. So for example, Vajiram IS has around 8 to 9 lakhs of students, connecting with them across India through our work that we have. So this is where we help them as well. And then again, since they are an organization and they are using our software, but we use the same software, we tweak it in such a way that it becomes easy for students directly to use that as well as an open platform. And that is how we generate revenue, and we are able to sustain, and we are able to give students content free of cost as well.
Amazing. And let's get a perspective from our mentor as well. Satyanarayan, we've, especially in the last year of the pandemic, we've seen a number of education apps, education portals coming up. They've become increasingly important. With so many varieties available, how do you see Kickhead Softwares differentiating themselves from the journey?
See, testing as an area, whether it is testing for practices purposes or it's testing for the real conduction of the examination, that has come under tremendous amount of focus, because now it was not a desirable thing. It was a mandatory thing. It was a necessary thing. In a country like India with a young population, students are taking exams and testing all the time, which are conducted by these neutral examination conducting bodies, whether it is a UPSC exam that Prajwal was talking about, or a CAT, or a NTA is conducting a bunch of exams, IIT, JEE, NEET. So there are a whole lot of exams that are happening. And in order to cater to the performance of the students' preparation, there has to be a mechanism in where they can practice 5x or 10x the number of tests so that they are prepared for it. So it's a very sunrise sector. It's been there for long as the entrance exams have been there. However, now it has become hugely central and important, because without technology, we would have been completely what should I say, immobilized. We were immobilized in the COVID era. It's a great opportunity, and again I would repeat the same thing that I mentioned in the earlier segment, that if Prajwal and his team are able to prove the unit economics, scalability, stickiness of this on the Indian landscape, I think there is a lot more, much bigger opportunities that awaits them even outside of India. It could be stage 3, But nevertheless, it's important to think of those things because you need capital to raise, you need capital to sustain, and you need proof of concept and revenues and profitability to build a long-term enterprise.
Right, important food for thought there. Thank you, Satyanarayanan. We'll keep connecting with you in the course of the program. Prajwal, important points to be taken there by what the mentor had to say. Quite frankly, your startup reminds me of a good friend who would help you out with all the scholarship-related information or mock test-related information, jobs-related information. How did you think of starting with it? As a student, what was your journey like? Did you have easy access to such information that motivated you to create a startup, a portal like that?
In fact, it was really tough. Back in 2010 when I graduated, it was very difficult to find important information online. Even if, let's say, there was TCS or Infosys coming into our campus, we had to, if we had to prepare for that, it was very difficult because we had to call our seniors or friends who, where companies had visited earlier, and we had to ask them what kind of questions are coming, in the papers. Or if we had to appear for a government exam, we had to talk to somebody who has already cleared it and then ask them what kind of questions are being asked. Now we have to simplify that. It should not be that difficult. Finding a scholarship is probably still one of the difficult, most difficult things online, because there are so many scholarships and you don't really know how many of them you are eligible for, right? So how do you get that? So this is, we face a lot of issues, and that is, we had a lot of issues with, getting mentorship from our seniors as well. How the industry is like is something that students are not aware of. What kind of work is being done exactly in the industry is very difficult for a student to understand. So that is when what I did was, back in 2014, we created a small Facebook group, and students used to ask what kind of questions they should study, what kind of books they should refer to, and how is the industry working, and we started guiding them. And that group started growing quite rapidly, and it has around 62,000 members as of now.
Wow, so a platform of conversation became the foundation of your startup. Let's get some questions from our audience members too. There are many of them researchers, I'm sure curious about scholarships as well. Your question.
I am Anupam Chaudhary, pursuing PhD in the Department of Textile and Fiber Engineering, IIT Delhi. So technology has its own set of its advantages and disadvantages. So most of the universities at this point of time have moved to online education, like online examination systems. So, but the major concern mostly is at many times there's some malpractices which have been like in the written examination, so being adopted by most of the students or something like that. So how can a technology help in curbing such malpractices which should not even taken place during examinations?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. In fact, when we were building the software, we had a provision where what if you needed proctored examination, right, to be taken online. So what we did was we had a lot of features, where a lot of security features. When we started, we knew that there was a problem when students take any quiz or any test online, and marks and credits are associated with that exam. We had to make sure that students are not able to cheat, and that is when we came up with a lot of security features. For example, when the test opens, it goes full screen. You won't be able to move out, and you won't be able to switch tabs. The moment you try to press certain keys which tries to minimize the screen, you will not be able to do. Or if you are somehow able to do that, the moment the screen goes out of focus, the whole application will close and your test will get automatically submitted. So these are a few things. Also, it takes at the beginning of the test, there's a feature where it'll show you a camera and it'll say that, okay, we are going to capture certain screenshots at certain intervals from of yours, and that will be sent to the server. So whenever we see that somebody has been able to get certain marks which has not been in the history of that student, so we approach and we see the whole recording of the test which has been taken.
Great, and these tech interventions, it works for the benefit of the students, so that they can actually work and appear for the test as they would in a real situation.
Exactly. Right. And also it's a timing factor also. Sometimes when you are conducting a test, let's say you have an MCQ test, the problem is that students might tell somebody else to search online and get you the answer. So what we did was, when we are when the time is actually important also, and we don't want students to search all these things online, what we did was we introduced a timer on every question. So you get 10, 15, 30 seconds, and MCQ is a very great way to to see whether somebody has enough knowledge in that field or not. So in 10 seconds you cannot search online, but if you know the answer, you will be able to obviously select that. So these are some of the things that we
Great,
have implemented
important
in our
interventions.
software.
Another question if you can have from the audience members, anyone?
I'm Neeraj Mandlekar. I'm a postdoc researcher in IIT Delhi, and I have a very general question. This Kickhead software, is it available on mobiles like on Android in different languages? And how does it like identify that the user is like the age group wise? Is it possibility to search like this?
Yes.
What platforms and varieties?
Yes. So we have two applications, which is the first one is Govjob Adda, which is focused on students preparing for government exams. So we have a lot of mock tests there based on the latest pattern that is in the market. So we create mock tests on that. So that application has around 5.5 lakh students registered on that as well. Now we also started Amigos, which is again a different kind of a social network for students. When you think about social network, the problem is that you think about Facebook or TikTok, where students generally waste their time, right? But we came up with a software where the moment a student installs the application, it asks which college you are from, which branch you are from, which degree you are pursuing, and then it immediately tells you that okay, these are your college mates. You can connect with them. And on the platform itself, it's again an Android application, so you get a lot of mock tests also for placements. You got a lot of mock tests for higher studies on the same platform. It has a lot of competitions which are happening on the platform itself. Live quizzes are happening every day. So every day we conduct 4 live quizzes, and to keep the students interactive and interested in the platform, we do give out prizes as well. So every day we give out prizes to the top 10 winners of each of the tests. So this keeps them interested in the platform, and this is how we are able to engage with the students. We give them content, we give them the ability to connect with each other. When he mentioned that we have one of the strategies is connecting people. So this is what we are trying to do, and we are trying to make a useful social network, right? Not just an application where you go and entertain yourself.
Let's also look at the manner in which students are benefiting from this revolutionary portal. We managed to speak to some of the students who benefited, Prajwal, from Kickhead Softwares. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
मेरे पापा हमेशा चाहते थे कि मैं कोई गवर्नमेंट जॉब ज्वाइन करूं, तो जैसे ही मैंने मेरा ग्रेजुएशन ख़त्म हुआ, मैंने रिसर्च करना शुरू किया कि अलग अलग कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्ज़ाम्स के बारे में, कि गवर्नमेंट एग्ज़ाम्स कौन सी होती है, कैसी होती है, कहाँ पढ़ना चाहिए। तो काफ़ी लोगों ने मुझे सजेस्ट किया क्या ऑनलाइन पढ़ो, कोचिंग जाना ज़रूरी नहीं है। तो फिर मुझे 1-2 फ्रेंड्स जिन्होंने ऑलरेडी एग्ज़ाम क्रैक कर चुके हैं, उन्होंने मुझे सजेस्ट किया कि गवर्नमेंट जॉब अड्डा का प्लेटफॉर्म जाओ, वो ज़्यादा सही है। तो मैंने गवर्नमेंट जॉब अड्डा के साइट पे गया, और लिटरली आपको सारी कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्ज़ाम्स की जानकारी उस पर डिटेल में मिलेगी। कोई अपडेट्स आते हैं तो वो आपको तुरंत मिलेगी। उस पर सारे मॉक टेस्ट है अलग अलग एग्ज़ाम्स के, जैसे नेस से भी होता है, नाबार्ड होता है, SSC CGL, IBPS, SBI, IBPS, जो भी एग्ज़ाम्स होती है आपको सारी डिटेल्स उस पर मिलेगी। उसके सारे मॉक टेस्ट मिलेंगे, आपको फ्री में भी मिलेंगे। तो मैंने फ्री मॉक टेस्ट से स्टार्ट किया, और लिटरली जब मैंने सच में IBPS की एग्ज़ाम दी, क्योंकि मेरा मेन टारगेट IBPS था, तो उनके एग्ज़ाम पैटर्न जो है मॉक टेस्ट का वो ऑलमोस्ट सेम है जो रियल में एग्ज़ाम होती है IBPS की।
मैंने अपनी टेस्ट सीरीज़ की तैयारी गवर्नमेंट जॉब अड्डा से की हुई है, जो कि बिल्कुल मुफ्त है। उसके जो भी टेस्ट सीरीज़ थे वो रेलवे के पैटर्न के हिसाब से बनाए गए हैं, जो मेरे लिए बहुत ही यूज़फुल साबित हुआ।
Student beneficiaries of Kickhead Software is really transforming lives with your portal. Prajwal, what is this bond that you share with students who benefited? There's this person we just heard, he was appearing for railway examinations, then he got a job, and then he's sharing his experience. Do they stay in touch?
Yes, a lot of the times they do stay in touch, and they keep us telling how has been their experience, and how a lot of times people like these call us up when the results are out, and they say that thanks a lot for the mock test that you had on your platform, and that is that is what real success is for us. When you are able to impact somebody, and when they are spending time on our mock test, we understand that it is their time which is very important. So we have to make sure the quality is very good. The content is the king. That is what we have to understand. At the end, technology is great. But it is just a facilitator. At the end, the content should be helpful to the students, and that is what we try to focus on. We get calls from students at 2 a.m. also. Sometimes
so they call you up for
yes,
inquiries.
And they say that okay, there's an exam coming up in the next 2-3 days, and if we could create a mock test for that and help them crack that.
Right.
So that happens a lot of the time. Students call us up asking for For example, let's say a few years ago, there was a guy from who was a guard at an ATM, right?
Oh.
And this guy called me up, and there were certain mock tests which were paid also at that time. And he said, "Sir, can you give us some discount on on these things?" And I said, "See, I cannot take money from you, right? It would be much better, I'll just give you free access to that." So I started giving free access to that, and a lot of students kept on asking such things also. And I understood that students do not have a lot of money. You have to understand it. When I was a student, I did not have a lot of money. I used to spend around 30 days every day, 30 rupees every day just to have my food, and that was the limited amount that I had with myself. So
Right.
At that time, if I had to pay 500 rupees for a mock test, I would not have paid.
You're
And
this
that is what
wonderful
I keep in
senior
mind.
that we all hope for, to get the right information and get the support to move ahead in career. Prajwal, also very briefly, if you can tell us about, you said content is the king. What is the source of your content? You create a platform, but where does the verified content come from? How do you manage that?
Yes. So we ourselves have a solid team which has experience in these exams.
Sure.
So when I would talk about my background, I initially went into TCS and then moved to McAfee and Intel later. So I have people in my team who have cracked IBPS exams, and some of them are POs as well, and they help us. We have a lot of freelancers who are students who are preparing for exams, and they are sharp. They have cleared their first or second level pre and mains examinations, and we have our openings there. So if they apply and they say that they say that I can create mock tests for you, and our team's responsibility is to figure out that the content, the quality is very good.
So that's the manner in which you
Yes.
go about taking care of the content. If we can connect to Satyanarayanan, you've been listening to the journey and the experiences of Kickhead Software. Satyanarayanan, from your own experience of creating a superb brand like Career Launcher, what would you say to Kickhead Softwares about the road ahead and going forward? How must they prepare for the challenges that they in particular are likely to face?
I would keep it perhaps very, very simple. One point advice or insight, if I may say so, which is customer word of mouth. I think education as a business is 90% about customer word of mouth. You can have a massive, unending amount of marketing dollars, but if the customer was experiencing, like, the two boys who came in and then they took the name of the brand Government Job Adda and clearly endorsed it, no amount of marketing money can bring that kind of credibility. I think, like again Prajwal was mentioning, technology is critical but incidental. Content also is extremely important. However, the outcomes that the students see in their lives and the word of mouth that it generates, I think that's the sharp focus that if maintained by the startups, they always will have a great future. Mistakes are always very integral part of an entrepreneurial journey, but no mistake is ever going to be more costlier than shortchanging the customer. Stay focused on that, rest of it will be fine.
I think that advice would work for Kickhead Softwares and also other startups who are operating in this sector. And finally, before we let our startups go today, Harsha, Prajwal, from the journey that you've had so far to climbing the ladders of success, what is that mantra, what is that core learning that you would like to share with young startups, entrepreneurs watching this program? Harsha, if I can start with you.
I would say keep dreaming and keep inspiring. These are the two things I think. Robots can do everything, but only humans have the power to inspire and also to get inspired. So
amazing. Prajwal.
And I'll suggest that focus on customers and your users. Their feedback is probably the most important thing that you can get in the whole industry. So what they are saying is absolutely right. Most of in almost all the cases, because they have used your product, and if they are giving a genuine feedback, that is to help you improve only. So critical reviews also are very helpful, because when you see something and see that okay, this is not up to that quality or this feature is not working properly, when you focus on that, at least 100 other people would have felt the same and they would appreciate it. So focus on customers and their reviews. That's very important.
Right. Great advice from the bright startups. If we can put our hands together for them. And as we come towards the conclusion of this program, let's take a look at the kind of impact that Startup Champions is already having.
Startup Champions has not only given us a huge set of audience, but also a huge platform and exposure. Also, we have started receiving various calls and emails from people having similar interest. And we have also started working on team expansion with them. Apart from this, we have started receiving interest from farmers who are ready to grow aloe vera for us. Thus, Startup Champions has not only given us a huge platform exposure, but has also given us a huge community outreach.
So all the best wishes to all the startups who are joining us, all the startups that are operating in the country. Harsha, Prajwal, thank you very much for joining us today in the program, sharing your story. Thank you very much. A special thanks to you, Satyanarayanan, for being the mentor, for guiding and giving the crucial set of advice that you gave to our startups and all the entrepreneurs watching this program. And a big thanks to our bright audience members, researchers, students, and entrepreneurs who joined us today. A round of applause for all of you, if you can do that at this point. And with that, we conclude this edition of Startup Champions. But this journey of inspiration, this journey of learning will continue next week. We'll see you again with new startups from a new sector. We'll take your leave for now. Namaskar.
For feedback and to connect with any of the startups featured during the program, please write to us at startup.india@gov.in.